Welcome to Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro, the show where you get the inside access to the best minds in the game. Each week, Chris has the privilege of chatting with top instructors, legendary players, course architects, and industry insiders. If you're looking to improve your game, gain a new perspective, or just hear some incredible golf stories, you are indeed in the right place.
You see, Chris, let me tell you something, I haven't spoken to a press man in my life that is knowledgeable, seriously, as you are. Never.
You do such a great job. It kind of makes me feel good all of a sudden.
You do so much for the game. You're so kind to all of us that are out there in the game. You know, we need more people like you in the game of golf.
Thank you for pressing play. Now, grab your clubs, step up to the tee, and let's get started. This is Next on the Tee.
Hi, folks, and welcome into this edition of Next on the Tee, where golf legends live and your game gets better. I'm, of course, your host, Chris Mascaro, and I hope each and every one of you here in the U.S. had a fantastic 4th of July celebration, the 250th birthday of our country. Can you believe that? What a celebration we had. I want to share my gratitude again as well to all of the brave men and women out there who, for over those 250 years, fought for our freedom. Can't thank you all enough, and for all of those that made the ultimate sacrifice. Again, as I always say, if it wasn't for you, there would be no us. For those listening in around the world, a huge dose of vitamin G for all of you as well for being a part of Next on the Tee and our wonderful community that we've gotten started here, and to everyone for pressing play on this episode of the show. This week, I've got another terrific lineup in store for you. My all-time favorite author is going to be here. The Confidence Doctor makes his monthly house call, and perhaps the most decorated PGA professional in the history of the Northern Texas PGA section will be here as well. Let's get specific now. Who are we talking about? Well, leading things off is Keith Hirshland. Keith is an Emmy Award-winning TV producer and a fantastic author. He wrote my all-time favorite book, Cover Me Boys, I'm Going In, Tales of the Tube from a Broadcast Brat. I'm also pretty fond of one of his other books, Song Girl, A Mystery in 2 Verses. I have the privilege of being a character in that book, that C.T. Mascaro character. Got to watch out for him. Motorcycle gang leader, if you can believe that. I hear a sequel is in the works to that book. I can't wait to hear about what C.T. Mascaro gets into this time around. Keith was also the producer for LIV Golf for the first 4 seasons that they had. He left that role last fall. I'll get his thoughts on why the PIF pulled out suddenly and what the future of LIV Golf looks like, plus his insights on all the changes the PGA Tour is proposing for 2028. He'll be along with me here in just a few minutes. Following him, we get our regular monthly visit from the Confidence Doctor, Dr. Bob Winters. This month, Dr. Bob gives us a lesson in the psychology of putting. He kind of flips the script, if you will, from thinking about those near misses, right? We say, oh, it almost went in, oh, this or that, to also now thinking about it differently to it nearly went in, right? Let's make that a positive. Let's not think about the missed stroke or that we barely missed it or whatever. Let's think about, you know what, that almost went in. Changes the whole mindset about that. It's vastly better to think about it that way. I love this segment with Dr. Bob. I think you're going to get a lot out of it. I know that I did. He'll join me about a half an hour or so from now. Then in the third segment, we get a long overdue return visit from Jason Hayes. Jason is the director of instruction at one of Golf Magazine's top 10 municipal courses in the country, Buffalo Dunes, which is located out in Garden City, Kansas. They are getting ready to host an Epson Tour tournament next month. You'll hear about the preparation and the great charitable contributions around that tournament. Jason also talks about the wonderful junior program that he started out there. And you'll get a little bit about the renovations to the golf course. They've taken a lot of trees out. So you think Kansas, you think flat ground. What else do you think? A lot of wind, right? It comes whipping down the plain. So we'll get some tips from Jason for how to play better when the winds are whipping. Jason and I finish up this segment by talking about his recent battle with brain cancer and the remarkable things his doctors at MD Anderson have been able to do to help him get down the path and get towards beating it. It's unbelievable the things that Jason has been through since last fall and now hopefully on the edge of getting to the other side of this thing. Please keep and his family in your prayers that we can get him through the rest of this procedure that he has to have done in order to get on the other side of this horrible thing with the brain cancer that he's battling. Again, please keep he and his family in your prayers. So, folks, it's another episode packed with great stories, outstanding insights, and instruction for you from three guys who have done a lot and are giving back to this wonderful game of ours. So sit back, relax, let us take your mind off everything else going on in your life for the next 90 minutes or so. Now, one last thing before we get started. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe wherever you're listening to it today. The algorithm picks up the show and gets it in front of more great golf fans just like you. I can't thank you enough. A huge dose of vitamin G for doing that for me and the growth of the show. All right, now let's get on to this edition of Next on the Tee. Okay, before I get started with today's guest, I want to take a moment to thank a couple of local Pittsburgh area companies that I reached out to and tried when I was reviewing the Best of Pittsburgh Awards from last year in 2025. Now, please keep in mind, I reached out to them. They didn't contact me, and these are not paid endorsements. I'm just a fan of their products. I got some samples, and now I'm hooked. And just because they're local Pittsburgh products, you can go online and get them shipped wherever you might be as well, which is why I wanted you guys to know all about them. And as I've said on the last few shows, I'm a huge hot sauce fan. I love trying different sauces and finding ones that have the perfect blend between heat and flavor. And a lot of sauces can bring the heat, but they've got no flavor behind it. Now, that is why I've become a huge fan of Artie's hot sauce. Artie's has found that sweet spot. His sauces bring plenty of flavor first, and then the right amount of kick behind it. Whether you're putting it on wings, taco, burgers, eggs, pizza, or just about anything else, Artie's hot sauce makes everything that you have taste better. If you're a fellow hot sauce lover, you've got to go give them a try. You can find them out online at artieshotsauce.com. I also want to give a shout out to the Steel City Salt Company. Their handcrafted spice blends and seasonings are out of this world fantastic. I've become a big fan of several of them, including the Steel City Steak Seasoning, Black and Gold Blend, and their Pittsburgh Pepper Blend. I added them when I do things like grill out steak, grill out chicken. I sprinkle them on vegetables to give those an extra kick. I'm also a big pickle fan, so their dill pickle salt is going to knock your socks off. Not to mention their Pittsburgh's Little Italy, which I started to include in my Sunday red sauce recipe and sprinkle on top of pasta to give it an added burst of flavor. Their Black and Gold Blend, Yinzer Dust, and Love Pittsburgh Everything Salt is great on things like fries, eggs, the baked salmon that I make. John and the crew over there are going to grab you by the taste buds, and they're not going to let go. You're going to enjoy the attention that goes into each and every one of their blends. You're going to love it. I promise you. Go out there and check it out online for yourself. SteelCitySalt.com. You know I also have a huge dose of vitamin G for everybody over at the Pittsburgh Tribune Review and TribLive.com. TribLive.com is the leading news website in Western Pennsylvania with news around the clock, Pittsburgh pro sports coverage, a high school sports network, and a podcast network, which is where you can find Next on the Tee. Bookmark TribLive.com or download the TribLive app for free and stay up to date with the latest news from Western Pennsylvania and beyond. I also want to talk about our friends over at the Pittsburgh Brewing Company and Iron City Beer, a brand that I have loved my whole life and started drinking when I was 21 years old, of course. Whether you're a hacker or a scratcher, the secret to a successful day on the links is knowing when it's time to grab an iron, even if that means keeping it in the bag till the 19th hole. If it's been a while since you've reached for Pittsburgh staple beer, it's time to revisit Iron City. Thanks to their incredible new facility in Creighton, the best-tasting Iron City beer ever made is now available at a course near you. Iron City pairs well with any lie and sky and serves as a friendly reminder that there's always next round. Check out all of their wonderful beers and their gift shop by going online to pittsburghbrewing.com. All right, now back in Next on the Tee with me is my all-time favorite author and one of the great people you get to meet in this life, and that is Keith Hirshland. Keith is an Emmy Award-winning TV producer. He has produced golf tournaments for ESPN, ESPN2, the Golf Channel, and LIV Golf. Keith was among the original people, oh, by the way, that started the Golf Channel back in 1995. He's also written 6 wonderful books, my all-time favorite book, which is Cover Me Boys, I'm Going In, Tales of the Tube from a Broadcast Brat. I'm also very partial to Song Girl now, a mystery in 2 verses, and that C.T. Mascaro character. I hear there's a sequel in the works. Fingers crossed for that. Can't wait to see what my character might do this go-around. If you enjoyed reading fun and clever books that, as one person on Amazon said, are the best thing since sliced bread, check out all of his wonderful books and get your copy of them, whether you're going out on Amazon or you go on his site, KeithHirshland.com. You can find them all there. And I couldn't be more honored that I get to spend some more time with Keith this week here on Next on the Tee. Hey, Keith, how are you, my friend?
I am great, Chris, and thank you very much for that kind introduction. You make me sound much more interesting and important than maybe I really am, but it's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you. All right, so I'm embarrassed to say this, but it's been a little over a year since I got to spend some time with you. I know that you've been doing a lot of things, LIV Golf, the Winter Olympics and those things, and for people who aren't aware, Keith's wife, Sarah, is the CEO of the U.S. Olympic Committee. I'm sure the last year has been kind of a whirlwind, but catch us up. What's been going on with you?
You know, it's been a crazy year. The 2025 LIV season ended in August, and you know, we knew that there were some changes potentially happening around the corner in terms of the TV production side of things, and you know, the folks at LIV and I kind of went back and forth all the way until the middle of December. And then it was kind of decided, I would say mutually decided that we were going to part ways, and that it was going to be the end of my 4 years with LIV Golf. And I mean, I have to say, Chris, you know, I got to thank Greg Norman and James Watson and Steve Bime and Will Steger and all the talented creative people that, you know, were assembled to put that thing together. We woke up every morning trying to see what we could do to make golf on TV different, to make golf on TV better. And we had, you know, a tremendous amount of support creatively and both with resources, you know, more money to spend on any golf tournament by a bunch of money than I ever had before. And it was a great experience. I got to travel the world, go to places I would have never dreamed I would have gone to. So, you know, I would say that those 4 years were, you know, a blessing and an amazing time, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. And, you know, they've gone in a different direction, and I'm happy that I'm not in the middle of it right now. Honestly.
So, Keith, I know that obviously with Sarah's job and the Winter Olympics this year being over in Italy, kind of take us behind the scenes. Did you get an opportunity to do some cool stuff while the Olympics were going on over there?
You know, it was kind of a double-edged sword in a way, because of the negotiations and the back and forth that I was having with the LIV group, my window to apply for credentials for the actual Olympic Games passed. So I wasn't able to go to Milan Cortina for the Olympics, but the timing did work out that I got to go over there for the Paralympics, which was an amazing experience. Those athletes are just incredible. And, you know, the fortitude and the skill and the determination, and, you know, you watch these guys, you know, racing downhill in the mountains of, you know, Cortina, Italy with one leg, or, you know, one arm or no arms, you know, and it's just, it's mind blowing. And I had never been to that part of the world. I don't know if you have or not. If you haven't, you have to go. It is, it's majestic. It's, you know, these little mountain villages that are surrounded, you know, or tucked into little valleys in the Dolomites that are the most spectacular mountains I have ever seen in my entire life. So the combination of the athleticism, the skill, you know, watching those athletes, and then just the surroundings was amazing. And, you know, I have a tremendous amount of envy and for my wife, who, you know, went to both the Olympics and the Paralympics, obviously. And, you know, she got to go see, you know, all 3 gold medal winning hockey games. So
Wow.
And we're huge sports fans. And she said that the experience of watching Team USA win gold medal um, on Olympic ice, she said was the greatest experience, greatest sporting experience she's ever had in her life. So it was fun to watch home on TV, and then fun to go there for the Paralympics. So another reason I'm happy that maybe Liv and I aren't working together anymore, because it means I get to go to a lot more places with her and spend a lot more time with her watching some of the greatest athletes in the world.
Yeah, so I want to take that a step further, Keith, because obviously, like you were mentioning, the U.S. sled hockey team won gold in the Paralympics. So it was the first time ever that a trio of those things happened, right? The women's team wins gold in hockey, men's team wins gold in hockey, and then the sled team wins gold in hockey. What was it like watching the U.S. sled hockey team bring home gold and kind of round out that trio of gold medals?
It was again, I mean, you just can't say enough about how incredible these athletes are. And the sled hockey team, and not to take one single iota of anything away from them, they were favored. They are and have been the best sled hockey team in the world for a number of years and a number of games. It would have been an incredible upset for them not to win. So that was amazing to see that, and then again to watch the skiers that competed in the men's and women's events in the downhill and in the slalom, and to watch Oksana Masters, who is one of the greatest cross country skiers in Paralympic history, to watch her win a gold medal. I mean, the whole thing is just I'm getting goosebumps now just talking about it. And I'm a 70-year-old guy who's seen a lot of stuff and been to a lot of sporting events. And when you sit there and you watch the American flag go up a flagpole with the national anthem playing and gold medals around athletes' necks, it's like you can't help but just be so proud to just be a tiny, 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 in my case, part of their success and to be behind them 100%. It's just an amazing experience. It'll be sad when Sarah decides, or the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee decides that Sarah's time has come and gone, because it's been so far now 8 years. It's been an amazing 8 years, and she's still got a couple left to go before LA 28. So,
when you're watching a big event like the Olympics on TV, are you jonesing to get in the truck and lead the production?
Oh gosh. My wife would say that I'd rather just watch it on TV and bitch about it. But it's the different sports are so golf, as we've talked about before on this show and other places. Golf is such a different animal to produce golf as opposed to other sports. But I have such respect, for the men and women in those trucks that produce any sporting event, but especially an event, with that, millions and millions of eyeballs are watching you, and the adrenaline that must be going through those guys in the trucks at that time I can relate to it. But, would I have loved it? If I could snap my fingers and, rub the bottle and have a genie come out and say, produce, a gold medal hockey game or something, or, a Super Bowl or a World Series, even though I know guys that have done those things, yeah, sure, I would love to be able to do that. But right now, in my capacity is, just the same as I would think a lot of them would say, I really couldn't produce a major golf championship. I'd be way out of my element, because those guys are the best in the business at what they do.
Well, so hang on a second. I take a little umbrage with that. You're one of the best that's ever done this thing. I mean, getting into a major, I get that it's, from a pressure perspective, it's a lot different than maybe doing the weekly LIV Golf tournament or the tournaments you used to do on the Golf Channel. But it's just a golf tournament, isn't it? Why is it different?
To a certain extent, sure, it's just a golf tournament, but it's because there's a special quality to a major. I produced a number of LPGA majors and a number of Champions Tour majors. I was never lucky enough to be in the main chair for a men's major, a regular men's major. But it's it's 100% different until you get in the chair and they hit the first shot on Thursday. Then it's the same. But the lead up and just the energy in the compound and the hundreds of, officials and network executives and everybody else that's never there at a normal tournament that all of a sudden shows up in a major, it's, there's a little bit more, you feel like, what the heck's going on here? But you're right. I mean, once you sit in the chair and it's balls in the air, then it's pretty much, they're all pretty much the same.
Speaking of balls in the air, and we've talked about this in the past, but for those who haven't joined us previously, the level of work that putting together a LIV golf tournament had to be infinitely harder than a regular tournament because of the shotgun start. And you've got so many balls in the air at the same time and trying to capture what's happening in the tournament, particularly in the early rounds. Explain the challenge of trying to figure out where to go and how to get all the shots that you needed when everybody's playing at the same time.
It is honestly, and I've used this term with you and with other people on a number of occasions, but it's not overstating it. I don't think it is honestly like drinking from a fire hose. There is so much going on at the same time that you can let it be overwhelming. I was lucky enough to have been surrounded by, so many talented ISO producers and associate producers and associate directors and directors and graphics people that, everybody is working that thing with 100% efficiency, knowing that, you have to be paying attention to all 18 holes. And, it's funny because when you start out, and when we first did it, it was 54 holes. And with it, you had an individual event going on at the same time as a team event. So in the beginning, they had only 3 of the 4 scores in the team event count. So you could be sitting there showing, okay, Brandon Grace has a 3-shot lead in the individual tournament. I can kind of not take my eyes off that, but kind of divert my attention to see what's going on in the team race, because the 4 aces and Ripper and, Legion 13 are all within 2 strokes of each other. So whatever happens on, there could be a 3-shot swing on one hole. So you got to pay attention. But then at the same time, you could be going, okay, this is important. Dustin Johnson has a birdie putt. If he makes this birdie putt, the 4 aces go into the lead. But wait, Louis Oosthuizen just made a birdie, and so did Dean Burmester. So that means that the South African team got 2 strokes under par. So all of a sudden now this Dustin Johnson putt doesn't mean a thing. And I've been sitting on, watching Dustin Johnson look over his putt like he's wont to do, as we've all watched Dustin Johnson, who takes no time in the fairway and forever on the greens, while 3 other things are happening that were important. So, thank gosh for tape machines, Chris, and recording devices, because you never know. But that was LIV Golf, and that was what made it, amazing and fun. And, because you never knew it was going to come, where something amazing was going to come from. And they changed it now. They went to 72 holes, which makes Thursday a little less important and a little less intriguing. They went to, multiple groups off the first tee. When we first started, it was boom. Everybody going off 1 through 18, and then they went to 2 groups off of 1, so that the chances of somebody coming out from in the middle of the pack were slimmer. And then they've even done time. Now I've seen them a couple times go to 3 groups off the first tee, which basically is just like a regular golf tournament. Nobody is coming from the 4th group out, especially playing threesomes, to win a golf tournament. So you're going to get your finish on 18 these days in LIV Golf. So, and I don't even think they're going to play a shotgun start next year, if you want to be honest.
Is that right?
I don't see how they can afford it.
Why is that?
Well, you have to have cameras. You have to have cameras on every tee and every green. You know, in a regular kind of DP World Tour golf production world, or a non-major, non-signature event PGA Tour tournament world TV production, you can set up. You don't have to have 18 green cameras and 18 green cameramen. You have to have towers or ways to get cameras on those greens, but a green can move as soon as a player in the last group moves through 6 and there's no other golf behind him. That camera at 6 can move to 12 or can move to 13. The camera at 7 can move to 14 and then pick up the action there and kind of leapfrog. And then if somebody goes out in the pack early or if somebody makes a move, you just send a handheld camera and you cover their approaches to the green and their putts. So it cuts down the cost probably in half. I mean, I think our budget was somewhere in the neighborhood of $6 million a tournament. And it's not going to be anywhere near that next year. They don't have the Saudi public investment fund money behind them anymore. So I think that's the one thing that's really going to be cut back is the amount of money they're going to spend on setup, build out, and TV production.
So do you think there's a next year? Kind of feels like, barring some major sponsor swooping in, that there may not be a 2027 for LIV Golf. I mean, what are your thoughts without the PIF?
Yeah.
Have one?
I know they're working their tails off trying to find some investors. And Chris, you know as well as anybody that there are a lot of rich people in this world that want to be involved in sports. And it wouldn't surprise me that they could find a couple of them to pony up some number of millions of dollars to keep the thing afloat. There is no chance that it's anything like it was the first four, now 4.5 years. There's zero chance that that's going to happen. I mean, I could see, them playing, 10 events with some kind of reduced. Right now, they're playing 14 events. They're not going to do that this year, with $25 million purses. That ain't happening. But I could see them playing 10 events for $8 million a week if they can get the funding. I mean, it all depends on whether or not they can get any money. But it wouldn't surprise me to see some kind of watered down, like I said, DP World Tour type production and kind of schedule where they play 8 to 10 events for $8 to $10 million. I don't know. And they still, I think they're going to lose some players, but I don't think they're going to lose all the big names. I mean, if they can come up with some kind of a plan, I think that enough of those big name players and enough of the players that are playing now on LIV Golf will say we're going to stick with it. We're going to give it one more year.
So I know when we've talked in the past, right, especially about the PIF, it seemed like they had a long-term vision, that it was potentially, 7, 8, 9, 10-year plan out there. Why do you think they, at this point, decided to pull out?
Man, that is way above my pay grade. Because you're right. I mean, everything that we heard in the 4 years that I was involved with the league was that this was Yasser Al-Rumayyan's baby. He loved it. He had, he was in it for the long haul. He was in it for, there was no way it was going anywhere. There's been a ton of speculation, and that it would be on my part to suggest anything else, that, the war in Iran really kind of had MBS look at the priorities of how much money the PIF was spending on absolutely everything. I don't know. It came as a surprise to me, because I think it came as a surprise to a lot of people who are with the league, that they pulled the plug just like that. So, that's, again, way above my pay grade, and I'm not sure anybody will ever know the reason.
And we'll be right back. In golf, fast isn't a nice to have. Fast is a necessity, and speed off the tee is where it all starts. That was precisely the thinking behind the all-new QI4D family of drivers from TaylorMade, our fastest, most fittable drivers. Built to meet the demands of the world's best players like Scottie Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Nelly Korda, and the rest of Team TaylorMade. The QI4D lineup was engineered to unlock the 4 dimensions of speed, starting with a multi-material driver head with enhanced aerodynamic shaping, combined with a faster face and our revolutionary React shaft system. The TaylorMade QI4D drivers are ready to extract every bit of speed from every golfer's unique swing profile. Our industry-leading adjustability and fitting unlocks it all. Watch the full story of QI4D, our quest to build the fastest, most fittable drivers, and unlock your newfound speed at TaylorMadeGolf.com/findingfast. You guys know what a fan I am of On Point Golf. Folks, get the #1 ball marker in the game of golf. On Point is the only 3-dimensional ball marker with alignment technology and a removable coin. It is approved for use according to the rules of golf as defined by the USGA and the R&A. As we all know, putting is all about line and pace. Mark your ball with On Point, engage with your 3-dimensional ball marker, and have more confidence in your line, execute the putt, and lower your scores. Folks, with the likes of Jim Furyk, PGA professionals, and amateurs alike out there using them now, it's the #1 ball marker in golf that actually helps you lower your scores. Go online to onpointgolf.us, read about the science behind it, then put one in your bag and make more putts. I feel like it's the 15th club in my bag. It's helped my game. Why wouldn't you let On Point help yours as well? Again, onpointgolf.us. Check them out and get one in your bag today.
PGA Tour Superstore pros aren't born. They're made. Every January, hundreds of associates talk to the top manufacturers, learn about the latest clubs, test the newest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together, hit over 100,000 balls, all so they can get you the perfect fit.
Now let's get back to the show. Is there room, Keith, for another global tour? I mean, I almost feel like this is a USFL, NFL sort of thing, right? I mean, you challenged the behemoth, right? It looked like you had something, and then it fell apart. I kind of feel the same way about LIV and going up against the PGA Tour. Is there room for another sort of global golf tour?
I don't. I think that in a pie in the sky world, I think that, I think that LIV, and I'm probably going to be in the minority of your listeners, but I mean, I think LIV was a really good thing. I mean, I think there were a lot of things that they did right. They went to places, markets that were underserved in the world of golf. I mean, the Australia event in Adelaide was bonkers. I didn't get to go to South Africa, but I heard that was potentially even more bonkers. The Spain event was incredible. They got these stars, these international stars, to go and play in front of their home country fans that were starving for golf. Did they get the team thing right? Probably not, but is there room for some kind of a team competition in professional golf? Maybe. I don't know. You're right. What I could see happening is some kind of either merging with the Asian Tour, or, a lot of these guys going over and playing the DP World Tour, which is now obviously is, in partnership with the PGA Tour. I think there's room for something that gets all this, a bunch of stars, the commitment of a bunch of stars playing in a golf tournament, committed to playing every week, almost like NASCAR or Formula One. When fans of those things go to a race, they know they're going to see Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson, and they know they're going to see, Lando Norris, because they race in every race. If you go to a PGA Tour event, you're not. Now, with the new way they're, I think, planning it, they think that's going to happen with these 20 events. But in the past, the PGA Tour, you could go to a PGA Tour event and not see one player in the top 15 in the world. And, that's another thing that I think LIV got right.
All right, so let's take that last part and expand on that, because I'm scratching my head, Keith, about what's going to happen with these proposed changes in 2028. You talk about not seeing any of the top 15 or top 20 players with this new stratification, if you will, the Championship Series and the Challenger Series, and $4 million purses on the Challenger Series, everything being worth $20 million on the Championship Series. I'm sort of curious, like, first of all, why do we need that? and two, who's going and who's sponsoring a Challenger Series? We already have the DP World Tour. We already have the Korn Ferry Tour that not a lot of folks are out there watching them. Now you're going to have this Challenger Series with these $4 million purses and, lower ranked players, which to me are the guys that are kind of marginally ahead of the Korn Ferry Tour. I don't understand why we need this and who's going to sponsor it and who's going to go watch it. And it just doesn't make any sense to me.
I'm kind of with you. And I mean, I would say that love it, loathe it, don't have any feeling one way or another about LIV Golf. You have to admit it changed professional golf forever. The PGA Tour, it was an arms race, and you know it and I know it, especially when, Yasser and the PIF were, writing checks, just trying to get play. We heard stories of, there were a dozen PGA Tour players that were signed and ready to come over to LIV that all of a sudden at the last minute, for one reason or another, backed out. They had a clothing deal that they couldn't get out of, or, a family member or a spouse talked them out of it or something. But it was basically, Yasser could have, he could have upped the ante at the time, the early years of LIV, he could have written checks that, to quote The Godfather, you make them an offer they can't refuse. That made the PGA Tour then do these signature events with elevated purses and have to go out and get, private equity money. And now they brought in Brian Rolap, who by all accounts is a really smart guy who came over from the NFL. And, he's restructured. Now they're talking about restructuring this into kind of the haves and have-nots tour. And, you're absolutely right. It's like, I get it for the 20 events playing for $20 million. Yeah, guys are going to do that. And CBS and NBC are going to be happy to televise those events. And sponsors, the ones you can keep, are going to sponsor those events because they'll get out of it what they've always gotten out of it. But to your point, who's going to sponsor a Challenger Tour event? Why would CJ Cup or whatever they are, who sponsors the Byron Nelson right now, if that tournament isn't one of the signature events or the championship events, and they're also telling Scotty Scheffler and Jordan Spieth and those guys they can't play in them, why would any sponsor say, "Oh yeah, I'll write that check"?
Right.
I don't get it.
Neither do I. And to your last point, and that was something that I was just reading about the other day, is that whole piece of Scotty and Jordan, those guys can't play in it. They may want to, and they've, certainly when you're a Texas guy, you want to play in the Texas events, and maybe you have a loyalty to, like a Byron Nelson or someone along those lines that you got to know as you were coming up through the junior ranks and whatnot, and you want to go play in that event, but now you can't. It's not even a question of whether you want to or not. No. You can't go play in that event.
Right. That doesn't make sense. That's going to change, I think. That's going to change. But
I sure hope so.
I don't know. And then, you know me, I've, since the early days of Golf Channel in 1995, we televised what was then the Nike Tour. I produced hundreds of Nike Tour / Buy.com Tour / Nationwide Tour events. And I have a soft spot in my heart for that tour. And I can't see that surviving. Who's going to want to sponsor that?
Right. It just doesn't make any sense how it's all where all this money is going to come from, where the fans are going to come from to want to go see that. right? I mean, if your favorite players aren't playing in it, and you're talking about players ranked somewhere north of 100 or 120 playing on this Challenger Series, I mean, the idea of relegation, which is another thing to your point that LIV Golf changed everything. Guys getting relegated up and down and all of that sort of thing. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and again, to your point in relegation, they say, well, if you don't finish in the top 90 in 2028, you're relegated to the Challenger Tour. But what if you're Wyndham Clark, who has a bad year and who just won the U.S. Open? It's like my 5-year exemption doesn't count anymore.
Right. What if you're Jordan Spieth, who, oh, by the way, hasn't been playing all that well, and now all of a sudden you're on the Challenger Series?
Right.
Oof.
It's going to be interesting, my friend. It's going to be interesting.
Indeed. Keith, one more before I let you go. And as I mentioned, you're my favorite author on the planet. So tell me is there a Song Girl 2 and what other projects you're working on?
There is a Song Girl 2. I'm sitting there looking at it right now. I'm probably, I would say, 2/3 of the way through it. It is going to be, it's tentatively titled With Friends Like These, where my detective Mark Allen gets visited in the night by various historical detectives and of various repute, and helps him solve a murder case. And another person that's helping him solve a murder case is the infamous C.T. Mascaro, who is no longer a biker gang leader, but he is intimately connected with the gang scene here in Colorado Springs, and he is going to be invaluable to Mark Allen as he works to solve this latest crime. And then I've got the third Murphy in my brain that we started with cliches, then went to, we started with redundancies, went to cliches, and the third in the trilogy will be Murphy teams up with the pun police.
I know you were teasing that for a while. So
that'll be after With Friends Like These. So I got a lot of work to do in the next few years. Chris.
Keith, it's always so much fun having you as part of the show. Let our listeners know, first of all, how they can go out and get copies of these books, plus also follow you, whether it's on your website or it's on social media.
Yeah, I kind of backed away from X. I haven't really done anything there. I'm still Instagram, KH Author, and you can get my books at Amazon. Just type in Keith Hirshland Books, and they'll be there. And as always, I always want to thank my great support team at Beacon Publishing Group, who have been kind enough to publish all my books since Cover Me Boys, I'm Going In. And you can buy my books at their website too, Beacon, BEACON, Publishing Group, all one word, .com. Thanks, Chris.
Keith, it's always so much fun having you as part of the show, like I say, and it's something that I look forward to when I know that you're going to be a guest. And like I say, shame on me for letting it be a little over a year since the last time you joined me. I hope you'll join me so much quicker next time around.
It'll be my pleasure, and I don't feel bad because you have a million great guests, and you got to get everybody get a little airtime, and you are the best in the business, my friend. I always enjoy it.
Take care, Keith. All the best to you and your family. I look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Thanks, Chris.
See you, Keith. That is the great Keith Hirshland, folks. At KHH Author is where you can find him on Instagram. And like I say, a finer human being you will not find on this planet. Just one of the great people you get to meet as someone who's privileged enough to do a show like this and get introduced around. And I really got to thank Matthew Lawrence for introducing me to Keith the first time around. And look, this is the 15th time that I've had the privilege of spending some time with Keith. When you get an opportunity to spend that much time with a talent like Keith, it's just overwhelmingly, I'm filled with gratitude. Let me put it that way. As you guys know, vitamin G, I'm filled with gratitude for each and every time that Keith has been a part of the show. He makes the segment so much fun. He's done so many great things over the course of his career. Again, one of the original people to get the Golf Channel started back in the mid-'90s, and then to do the other things that he's had an opportunity to do is just unbelievable. And like I say, my gratitude goes out to him. Be sure to go out there and check With Friends Like These. Can't wait for that book to come out. And then Murphy 3 and the Pun Police after that. So Keep track of the great things he's doing at KeithHirshland.com. Go get copies of his books. Again, if you enjoy fun reading books that you're just going to enjoy picking up each and every day while you have an opportunity to get through that book, you're going to look forward to it. Let me put it that way. You hear about books that are page turners, you're going to look forward to getting home to picking up that book and seeing what else happens. So I'll get Keith back on the show much sooner next time, I promise. Coming up next, we get our regular monthly visit from the confidence doctor, Dr. Bob Winters. Before Doc joins the show, let me remind you about the great things going on up at Macklemore. Because this year, get ready to experience a game like never before at the Keep, the brand new Bill Bergen and Reese Jones co-designed course at Macklemore. With its challenging layout and awe-inspiring views, every round here is an unforgettable adventure. Whether you're taking on the signature holes or just soaking in the scenery, the Keep is where your best golf meets nature's finest backdrop. So grab your clubs and join us up at Macklemore. The Keep is open and it's waiting for you. And folks, if you haven't tried 2-under yet, you really need to. Why? Well, from the first tee to the clubhouse, 2-under's Joey Pouch is going to keep you comfortable and locked in all round or all day. Build your own bundle by going online to 2-under, that's the number 2, UNDR.com, and save up to 20%. Okay, now back for his regular monthly visit with us is the confidence doctor, Dr. Bob Winters. Dr. Bob is our coach to help us improve with our mental approach and have a better mindset when we're out on the golf course. Every month, he helps develop that confidence for us and help us play smarter. If you're headed down to Orlando this summer, like millions of people seem to do, you can find him at his Performance Enhancement Company or at the Ledbetter Golf Academy at the Reunion Resort. Dr. Bob's students now, they continue to have amazing success. Evidence for that can be found on his Instagram page, at drbobwinters. He is also a board member of the Next Tour, which you guys know is a feeder tour for the Epson and LPGA Tours. I couldn't be more excited that we get to kick off July with him right here on Next on the Tee. Hey, Dr. Bob, how are you, my friend?
Hey, Chris, great to be with you. How many times have I actually been just honored to be on your show? What number is this?
Yeah, this is number 30, kind of a little milestone for us, if you will. So it's just been unbelievable having you as a big part of the show now for, like I say, 30 episodes, 2.5 years, all the great tips and stories and advice that you have shared with us over that time. It's been a privilege having you as part of the show.
Oh, Chris, thank you so much for having me. Wow, these 2.5 years have gone by like smoke through a keyhole,
huh? Indeed.
I mean, really. It's like crazy. So it's great to be with you. Excited, to talk to you tonight and all of our great listeners about, what, I want to present to them. And we're going to be talking a little bit about the psychology of putting and the psychology of something I've created called the near make. And, I was kind of sort of briefing, this with you earlier today and kind of really like to kind of get right into it and jump into it.
Please.
Well, as you know, I've been involved with putting and putting psychology research for 40 plus years, doing a lot of sports vision, sports psychology, golf psychology, motor learning. And one of the things, that I've actually been looking at is the whole phenomena of people's mindsets when people step up on the putting green. And a lot of people love to putt. They just love everything about it. But then you've got, a whole faction of people, millions of them, who just dread putting because putting to them is just failure waiting to happen. And really what I want to talk about is sort of how we can talk about turning your putting into possibility thinking, possibility making, and not fearing the miss. Because great putters realize one thing, that making putts is great, but missing putts is a part of the overall putting process. And great putters miss putts, 3-putt and sometimes 4-putt because they're trying to make putts. So I really want to get into this whole concept of the near miss and then transfer that into the near make. So here we go. When we start talking about this near miss effect, Chris, it's perhaps one of the most powerful psychological phenomena in the gambling world. And it also helps explain, why people keep pursuing goals every day, even when success for them just remains almost, just out of reach. So like when we talk about casino, a near miss occurs when, the player has a loss. He loses money. He loses money at the roulette table, loses it in dice, craps, or he loses it at the slot machine. And he feels emotionally that he won, but it was still a loss. So, for example, a slot machine shows two jackpots, okay, then it shows a lemon. Or a roulette ball lands, in the number right next to yours. Or even in horse racing, your horse finishes second or third a couple of times in a couple of races. So really what happens in a near miss, that gambler, and it's such a emotionally stimulating, addictive thing. That's why we have Gamblers Anonymous, because it becomes so addictive. The near miss feels it's possible. I'm almost winning. I'm almost winning. So I was looking at this, and I was looking at the whole notion about casinos and slot machines. And before 1984, slot machines, had sort of the mechanical wheels, and you could actually pull the slot machine. You just pull that handle, which is very addictive, by the way, and you'd actually see, the wheels come down. It would go bar, bar, lemon. Oh, I was so close. But the jackpot line right up above it says bar, and there's another bar, and you feel as if you're close. And in the old days, those mechanical tumblers would get hot, and the braking system, would actually slip, and people would really get on a run of those slot machines. But in 1984, they put in algorithms in computers with these randomly generated numbers. So every time you go into a slot machine, a casino today, you think you're getting really close. Oh, I'm getting hot. The bars are just starting to line up. But each type, when you pull the slot machine handle or you push the button, it's generating hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of randomly generated numbers. So, in these games of chance, a near miss feels almost. And even in those machines, Chris, these casino operators have actually put in near miss results, because they can actually have a near miss, keep the person staying there at the casino, and keep pumping more money in without having to pay anything off. Are you with me so far?
I'm with you. It's scaring me, but yes, I am.
Okay. So when we talk about these games of chance, all right, what does that have to do with golf? What does that have to do with anything in life? So when we're going to, transfer now this near miss to golf. So how many times when we get onto the green, you have players who are north and south, pro and con. Either you make it or you miss it. And so let's kind of just take a look at those two mindsets. The person who steps up into a 10-foot putt, what's the goal? The goal is to make the putt. It's to actually sink the ball into the hole. So when the player, has this routine, has this line, steps in, hits the ball solid, he feels really good about the stroke. He sees this ball rolling on the ball roll line, end over end. And even as that ball is rolling closer to the hole, his hormones, his feel-good sensory system is being activated. And it's the dopamine being released. And then the ball goes into the hole. Yes. Boom, gives him the fist pump. He sees success. It's confirmation. I actually, did my goal, and it builds putting confidence. So this sustains not only putting confidence, but it builds more putting motivation, more putting momentum. So that's when a person makes putts. And I got to tell you, there's nothing, that builds more confidence, makes a person feel better than making putts. I don't know about you, but boy, I love to make putts.
Indeed.
Now, let's go to the other side. This player, same player, 10-foot putt, steps up, hits a putt, and he hits it, and it's going up to the hole. He misses it, to the left of the hole. That's a miss. Or he misses it short right, or he misses it long right, or he misses it short left. So he has cluster errors. Has he made his goal? No. And the result, he feels bad. And what's happening now is there's no dopamine. In fact, now it becomes very stressful. He's got adrenaline, cortisol. He sees the miss. It reconfirms, I'm just a terrible putter. He gets himself all worked up. He's actually, cursing himself. And now he's actually sort of regretting everything he's thought about putting. And he goes back into his memory bank and he's trying to figure out what the Sam heck is going on. So he says, is this a physical error? Is my stroke, am I jabbing it? Am I pulling it? Am I pushing it? Is it a mental error? Was I ready to hit that putt? Was it an emotional error? Was I scared? Do I try not to miss it versus try to make it? Or was it a sensory error where he actually just didn't see it going into the hole at all and he misjudged the line or the speed? So he goes, off. Now, a lot of people, they are either one or the other. They feel great about putting or they see putting as sort of this necessary evil, okay? Because they get lost in this feeling like, I don't like putting because I don't see any success. Now, there's a third, version here that I'm introducing here to the world on your show tonight. Now, we can talk about, missing and, getting close or whatever, burning the edges. But I happen to believe that in all of my years of doing all of these, writing all these different putting research articles, doing all the books, doing all the interviews with thousands and thousands of players, amateurs and tour players alike, the one thing I do know, great players, they see the ball going in the hole. They believe it's going in. They build a system that it says, this is really what I'm going to do. And even if it doesn't go in, I believe it still has a good chance of going in. And now I'm going to, start off with this story. I've told it before here in one of our previous episodes. But Tom Weiskopf and Jack Nicklaus were coming down the stretch of the Canadian Open years ago. And it's really one of the, I think, the Opens that Jack never won. And Jack is on, I think, the 16th or 17th hole. He's got a 10-foot putt. He steps up and gets into that golden bear crouch. He steps up, he hits the putt. The ball goes into the front part of the hole and goes in and then comes out on the exact other side of the hole. The golden bear, he's a little bit upset. He goes up there and he taps it in. He walks to the next tee. Tom Weiskopf makes his birdie. And both of them were Ohio State graduates. Both of them played for McGregor Golf Company. And, they were, pretty good friends, but really, good rivals as well. Because Weiskopf was just really one of the most talented players, of that era. But he was temperamental. You didn't know if he was going to be terrific Tom or temperamental Tom that came out. So he goes to the next tee and he looks at Jack. He says, Jack, too bad you missed that putt. That ball, it looked like you made it. And Nicklaus, uncharacteristic at the time, kind of snapped back at Tom. And he said, Tom, I didn't miss that putt. I made that putt. It just didn't happen to stay in. And Weiskopf's kind of walking away going, wow, I was just trying to give him a compliment there. But what Nicklaus said was so true because it really reinforces this psychology of the near make. So let's take a new putt. Let's say Chris Mascaro is stepping up into this putt. You have a 10-foot, putt, Chris, no matter what it's for, birdie, eagle, par, whatever it is you're putting for. You step up, you do your routine, you hit a good putt. You've hit it solid. As this ball's getting ready to go to the hole, you're even starting to feel really good about it. You anticipate success. You've got the dopamine that's already starting to generate. And what happens at the very end, it hits the hole and it just, lifts out maybe 6-7 inches. It had a chance. It was in and then it came out. Now, the people who really, look at putting, well, that's a miss. That's a miss. Guys, I can't make anything. I'm snake bit. And then they get really upset. But if you really understand what's going on here, if you can actually use your mindset to say, you know what? I made a good putt. I had proper execution. I made that putt. Now, obviously, I'm disappointed a little bit. It didn't stay in, but I am encouraged because of that feedback will calibrate my next putt not in games of chance, but the near make in a game of skill. It gives us information. It tells us we are on the right track. It's almost like a foul shooter. Okay. He misses his first, free throw, but he comes back and he makes the next one. And then every time he's at the free throw, he makes the next one and the next one. And that sort of builds, positive momentum. It sustains confidence because there is a positive push psychologically towards the next putt. So when we start talking about, did you miss that putt? You never really want to say, yeah, I missed it, unless it was just a really bad putt and you go, hey, I just made a bad stroke, no big deal. And then you let it go. But if it actually goes in and comes out, instead of beating yourself up, you have to tell yourself, you know what? I made that putt and I'm getting closer and I'm just really going to start a bonfire because I'm just starting to light the match. Because it's that one putt. If we can stay patient, and patience is confidence waiting to happen, especially on the putting green. If I can actually just, keep sustaining my confidence, building positive putting momentum, and just get one to drop, it's amazing how that one putt builds unbelievable positive putting momentum. And if you want to think about putting momentum, let's go back here to the John Deere Classic second round with a player that I've known for years and worked with, Tony Finau. Tony Finau set, really with almost the second most historical, PGA Tour statistic in distance feet of putts made, Chris. He made 236 feet, 3 inches of putts in the second round. He had 27 total putts. 9 of them were one putts. And Tony was just making everything that day. And that's really what the psychology of the near make, creates for you. It creates this positive momentum to really get yourself off and you can actually run the table. And that's really what skill does for you. And that's what persistence and the possibility of making putts, can really afford you. So that's really the psychology of the near make. I haven't meant to make it a dissertation, but I wanted to make sure, that you presented it on this show so everybody could actually understand it.
No, I love it, Dr. Bob. And really, the positive mindset and looking for the positive and not the negative from the result, right? I mean, if you leave one on the lip, well, you can look at that as a miss to your point, or you could say, you know what, boy, that putt was dead in the heart. One more roll and that would have gone in. So you can look at the positive for the speed that you hit it, the direction that you hit it, whatever, even if it doesn't go in. But, to your point about Jack, one of the things that he's my hero, but he never missed a putt in his mind, right? That's what he always used to say. I never missed a putt in my mind. And that's what I thought was his great strength.
Exactly. And you make a great point. I've had so many players come up to me because I've been known as Professor Putt and I've done all these different things, Dr. Putt or whoever, they wanted to call me. They go, well, tell you what, Dr. Winters, 99% of all putts left short don't go in the hole. And I always say, well, I got to tell you, about 99% of the putts that go 2 or 3 feet by the hole don't go in the hole either, pal. So, and I really wanted to get to your point. If you have a 15 or 20 foot putt and you leave this ball just 1 inch short of the hole, I want to talk about this and the science about it, Chris, just so our listeners understand. The circumference of a golf ball, okay, all the way around it, when it rolls, it's 5.28 inches. Okay, so one full rotation of the ball moving towards the hole is 5.28 inches. So if you leave your putt 1 inch, okay, meaning this ball, it's only about a quarter of a revolution from dropping into the front of the hole. So when you leave a putt 1 or 2 inches from the hole, you're only talking about a quarter to a half revolution of having a perfect putt. So never sit there and go, oh man, just get it to the hole, hit it. And I know a lot of people berate themselves and they look at that as a miss. But what you're really looking at is almost a perfectly stroked putt. So for me, the near miss is a psychological trap. The near make is psychological feedback that says, how can I do better on my next putt? And I'll use all of this feedback, all this information in a very positive, purposeful sense so I can get on the green and make more putts. So instead of saying, I just missed it, you really want to say, you know what? That ball went in. I nearly made that. That's a near make right there. And if you think about the U.S. Open, you think about some of the putts that Sam Burns or some of these other players coming down the stretch. there were a lot of near makes back then.
For
A
sure.
lot of near makes.
Dr. Bob, before I let you go, remind our listeners again, how can they stay up to date with the great things that you're out there doing, get copies of your books? How can they find you on social media and online?
Chris, thank you for that. They can go into my website, theconfidencedoctor.com. And speaking about putting, on my website, I've got, a course called the putting course. It is the 10 mental rules of golf. It's a little video, it doesn't cost, very much. Go in there, take a look at it. And once you see it, I explain the 10 mental rules for great putting. And that's in, my theconfidencedoctor.com website. They can also find me on Instagram and Facebook at Dr. Bob Winters, Robert Winters, or they can Google me, or they can find me at Golf Zone Ledbetter here at Reunion in Reunion, Florida. And they can also find me here on Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro every month, the first Tuesday of every month.
You're the best, Dr. Bob. I can't thank you enough. This was a wonderful lesson, and I can't wait to go check out the putting course as well. So you're fantastic. I thank you so much for the 30 episodes that you have been a part of, and I'm already looking forward to when we get to do it again in August.
Well, I can't wait to start on the next 30, Chris. All right. All right, my friend. Have yourself, a great July. Talk to you soon.
Take care, Dr. Bob.
Bye.
That is the great Dr. Bob Winters. What a wonderful man. What a wonderful instructor. I mean, look at the positivity that we come out of that segment with, right? The near make, right? That's the mindset we got to have, the positive mindset when you're looking at what you've done, right? I mean, there's so many things we can take away from that, right? It's kind of flipping that script. You leave a putt on the hole, right, or an inch from the hole or right around the lip or whatnot. You can look at it as that you missed it, or you can say, you know what? I had the great direction. If it's right dead in the heart, but came up a little bit short, came up a little left, a little right, you know what? I hit the right speed, but it just came up a little short, but that was a near make. It's really having that mindset to say, you know what? I'm around the hole. It's going to happen. The putts are going to start dropping instead of the negative side. I can't make anything, like Dr. Bob was saying. Get all down on yourself. One of the other things that I wrote down, and I keep this notebook, right? Don't fear the miss. I love that, right? Don't fear the miss. Stand up, make that putt, right? Make it in your mind. Like Jack always said, I never missed a putt in my mind, right? Have that mindset, that positive mindset. This is going to go in. And if it doesn't, for whatever reason, it was a near make, take that with you to the next hole, because the next one's going to start dropping. Like Dr. Bob said, then it starts to feed on itself, right? That positivity feeds on itself. The opposite side of that coin is the negativity feeds on itself. You don't want that, right? It's going to keep you putting poorly, keep you down, and not let you have the enjoyment and the fun and the adrenaline rush that Doc talked about as well. So go check him out online if you haven't already at Dr. Bob Winters or theconfidencedoctor.com, and check out that putting course. I'm very interested to go out there and check that out and find out the 10 mental rules to putting. So looking forward to having Doc back as part of the show. Very grateful. A lot of vitamin G for Dr. Bob for the 30 episodes he's been a part of, the 2.5 years. Already looking forward to catching up with him again next month in August. And we'll be right back. Golf season is back, and Sunday Swagger just made sure you're going to be ready. Their new spring collection just dropped. They've got 60 bold, performance-driven styles for men, women, and youth. And if all that isn't enough, well, they just linked up with Pennzoil and Team Penske for a race-inspired collection that brings serious trackside energy to the fairways. With styles for men, women, and youth, you're guaranteed to turn heads and spark conversation when you wear Sunday Swagger. Visit SundaySwagger.com, join the Sunday Club for exclusive drops and member benefits, and folks, Sunday Swagger is going to give you what? Polos with personality. Again, check them out online, SundaySwagger.com. And folks, Squares Golf, best golf shoes on the planet by far. It's not a gimmick, it's not marketing, it's science. Let's hear why they say it, and I say it as well.
You've heard of Squares, and there's a reason why. Because the best swings in golf don't start with your hands. They start from the ground up. Most golf shoes are built for looks, not performance. Squares breaks the mold. Our patented design gives your toes room to engage the ground, creating more stability, balance, and solid contact. Your same swing, now powered from the ground up. Experience the Squares advantage at squares.com. Squares, performance starts where you stand.
All right, Now back to more of the show. Okay, now back and next on the tee with me is Jason Hayes. Jason is the director of instruction at one of the top municipal courses in the country, Buffalo Dunes, out in Garden City, Kansas. Jason is originally from New Mexico. He attended the New Mexico Military Institute in Roswell, New Mexico. He's been a PGA professional since 1998. He may be the most decorated person ever in the Northern Texas PGA section. He served as the vice president and then the president for several years. He won the Bill Straussbaugh Award several times in the PGA West Texas chapter. He was the chapter's Golf Professional of the Year 3 times and the Teacher of the Year twice. He was also the Merchandiser of the Year for private clubs going back to 2004 and 2006. He was named the Manager of the Year in 1998 for 4-Star Golf Corporation. He won the Northern Texas PGA Championship in 2010. He also helped start up and then coach the golf program at Angelo State University and helped that program to national prominence in their only second year of existence. He is also instrumental in helping Buffalo Dunes host the Dream First Bank Charity Classic out on the Epson Tour, which is coming up at the end of August. And I couldn't be more honored that I get to spend some more time with him this week here on Next on the Tee. Hey, Jason, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, Chris. I'm good. I'm actually doing really, really good.
That is so great to hear, Jason. And I'm ashamed to say this. It's been a minute since you've been on the show. I was stunned to see it's actually been almost 2 years. Catch us up. What's been going on with you?
Well, there is a lot been going on. So, Buffalo Dune wise, we finished our golf course renovation. We just held our 50th anniversary celebration this past week. We had the Friday podcast in for a couple days. They did a little documentary on the golf course renovation. Rounds keep going in the positive direction. We did, I guess the first year that I got there, we did 14,600. This last year, so I got there in 2017, 2026, we did 26,310.
Wow.
We're on pace to do over 28,000 this year. So, things are great. The Epson Tour now, or Symetra Tour now, Epson Tour is coming back for I think it's their 13th time now. And we're excited about that. The Dream First Charity Bank Classic. It's kind of fun to watch some of the ladies that have come through here, like our winner last year, Yana Wilson, has won already on LPGA. And then, Nelly Corda came and played in Garden City in 2016. So there's a lot of synergy there when we think about some of the ladies that have come through. I've got two ladies that I'm working with right now that are fantastic. We can't seem to get them over the hump, but we're working on it. It was interesting listening to Dr. Bob talk about some of that putting stuff. So I may steal some of it and apply it to them. See if we can't get them to make more cuts than they missed this year so far. But I mean, all is good. And then as you and I talked back in March, I've had some battles of my own that hopefully we're on the downhill side, and the life is good. I've got no complaints. My wife and our 9-year-old, I think I've spent more on hotel rooms this past couple months with 9-year-old travel baseball. I
bet.
Life is good. Life is good. So
that's awesome. Jason, you mentioned the renovations to the golf course. Talk about that. What are the things that you guys did?
So in 2021, we started a 5-year project that came to fruition we opened the golf course last July 1st. We basically redid every hole on the golf course.
Wow.
New green complexes. We did some rerouting, and it's great. We've got some great reviews. People have been coming in from all over the countryside to play. I can't remember if it was last year. Our golf course superintendent, he pulled up about 6 o'clock in the morning. There were some people coming from Pittsburgh back to California, and they had heard about the golf course, and they just drove in, parked at the front gate at 2 o'clock in the morning. Were the first people off, played the golf course, came back in the golf shop, and we chit chatted a little bit, and off they went. They were driving a car back from Pittsburgh back out to California. I don't know if I can't remember exactly where, but multiple stories like that. We're, it's hard to describe. We've gotten rid of over probably 200 or 300 trees. It really opened up the golf course. When you drive south of Garden City out towards the golf course, we're in these great big sand hills. There's no trees. When you get to Buffalo Dunes, when I first got here in 2017, you're almost like playing in like you were in northern Michigan. There were so many trees out there. We kind of got rid of those, opened it up, got rid of a lot of the pine trees and a lot of the cedar trees and stuff that really didn't play into the golf course itself. Now it's kind of wide open. You can see on one side of the property. You stand on hole number 9 and you can look down, and the sand dune's probably 100 foot high, back down to number 7 green. It's just great. We hosted a couple more national championships, NJCA national championships. It's fantastic. I get tickled to death when I start talking about the golf course. So,
all right, so let's take that a step further. You say you redid every hole. A couple of years ago, Golf Magazine ranked Buffalo Dunes as the 8th best municipal course in the country, behind only such notables like Bethpage Black and Chambers Bay, Torrey Pines, places like that. You guys were already at the top. So redoing every hole, the first thing I would wonder is why? And then from there, where this has got to catapult you guys even further up the list.
The big push, especially Southwest Kansas, water conservation is going to be at the heart of what makes everything tick in the next 10, 20, 30 years in this neck of the woods. When we started talking about the renovation, what can we do to sustain the golf course for the next 50 years? So we've gotten rid of about 20 acres of irrigatable turf between tee boxes and fairway, turned it back into native grasses that we don't irrigate anymore. And we've put newer bent grass, and we've come back in. We've put fescue around, fine fescue around the greens, around approaches, and out towards the bluegrass, ryegrass fairways that we have. Made the golf course more playable. But again, we use more modern grasses, so we, less herbicides, less fungicides, more heat tolerant, more drought tolerant. We're using probably 15 to 20% less water. Another thing that we did a couple of years ago, a gentleman named Mike Muirhead came to us. He's our public works director. He's getting ready to retire, but he goes, "What do y'all think about putting some solar energy out at the golf course?" And so we completed that last November. It saves us probably $15,000 a year in electrical costs.
Wow.
So just things like that. We keep kind of pushing the envelope a little bit. We've got 19 robotic mowers. I think it's 19. It might be 17. That we use. We were some of the first in this part of the country to use those. They've been fantastic. We don't have any issues with them. We've tried to set the place up to where it's easy to operate, where it's easy to maintain. It's a great spot.
So let's take that all a step further, because the course was already incredibly, in my opinion, affordable. When I look at what the greens fees are, it's amazing that you get what was the 8th ranked municipal course in the country, which, like I say, is probably now going to even climb further up that list. And on top of that, you get greens fees that are probably some of the most affordable in the country. Talk about that.
It's been a couple years. I think it's been since 2023. I think we were the second most affordable place to play in the country. Our family membership it includes green fees, cart fees, and range fees is $2,020 a year. If you just like to walk, our 65 and older, our annual fee is $396.
Oh my!
If you're not a senior, it's $550. Very affordable. You can pay monthly. It's I think it's $13.95 a year for a single. So basically $140 a month, and you can play all the golf you want, ride in the car, and hit all the range balls you want.
That's unbelievable.
There's not a whole lot of places in the country where you can do that. And the golf course is always in phenomenal shape. And then right down the road, we have another golf course that's called Southwind. That's the private club in town. That is a really great golf course too. I mean, we've got, for a community the size of Garden City, that's about 40,000 people. We've got two of the best golf courses. I'd put them up against anything in the country.
You also mentioned a moment ago the Epson Tour event, the Dream First Charity Classic, and you guys have hosted that, like you mentioned, for several years. But talk about what it's like to have a tour event come to town. What's it like for the community? What's it like for you guys and the staff to host an event like that? Because, like you said, you've had so many of the great young talent that's out on the LPGA Tour come through there. But it's also great for the community to have an event like that, and obviously for the course. Talk about being involved in setting up an event that's out there on the Epson Tour.
We started preparation for this event. So the event is August 24th through the 30th. We really started full scale on this event back in January. Without our local sponsors, it wouldn't be possible. I mean, Dream First Charity Bank, the Finney County CVB. There's a gentleman. It just without our local sponsors, it wouldn't be possible. And when we talk local sponsors, we're talking all of Southwest Kansas. There's a gentleman named Steve Obrate that is instrumental in making sure that we collect the dollars that we need to make the tournament a success. I mean, for a community our size, we pull $200,000 out of it right off the top for the purse. That's a lot of money year in and year out. And I mean, we're the smallest community in the country that hosts an Epson Tour event. And I think someday they're probably going to outgrow us. But right now, we're able to hold on. Volunteer wise, we probably have over Pro-Am Day, and then the tournament days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We have over 100 volunteers. One of the great things about the tournament is the charitable arm of the tournament is girls golf in Southwest Kansas. So there's 13 area high school teams that participate. The girls come in, they volunteer, they get the markers, run scorecards, work at the driving range. And then we host a event every Saturday where, we have 5 or 6, 7 of the Epson Tour girls professionals come in, and then we'll have 50 to 60 high school players come in. Last year we had Garden City Junior College and Dodge City Community College come in and just talk about what it's like playing on the Hudson Tour. Everybody thinks that it's it's very glamorous, but the girls, I mean, they struggle. It's, how do you get from event to event, host housing, what do you eat? What's your practice schedule like? It is a grind, and it's not as glamorous as you would think it is. And the girls get to see that firsthand. They get a lot of interaction. It's a lot of fun. One of the great things when we first started the high school girls piece, had a girl I taught. Her name is Riley Bryn Cook. She was a freshman. She won state a couple times, and then she transferred down to West Texas A&M and played for Meredith Jameson, and they pretty successful. And it was fun to give her one of the exemptions for her to come back and play. And Riley's a pretty good player, and the way we had the golf course set up, and I got to caddy for her. I wasn't the greatest caddy that week, but I think we shot 80, 82. And it was a lot, and it kind of puts things in perspective. So it's great that we host that event. We have 20 different countries that come to Garden City, and Garden City is, you would not realize this in Southwest Kansas, but there's over 30 languages spoken in our school system. It's just a huge melting pot. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Wow.
So,
Jason, speaking of young players, you are a wonderful junior golf instructor. We've talked a little bit about this in the past, but I want you to remind everybody about it. You've set up a great junior golf program there at Buffalo Dunes. Tell everyone what you've put together there.
It's funny you say that. So we have Tuesdays and Thursdays are our big junior golf days. So we have two PGA Junior League teams. We have a 9 and under team, and then we have a 13 and under team. And basically, junior golf is from 9 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We have about 40 kids in our junior PGA League, and then I have another group that we practice from 11:30 to 1. I call them the elites. They're the kids that are a little bit better. They like to play their own ball. But we've developed them through the years with our PGA Junior League team. And then we also have a high school academy that we do from 2 to 4. We try to take the kids out on the golf course, not only work on their golf swings, but teach them how to, play golf, course strategy, course management, how to develop a plan. And then we talk about, we've got an acronym that we use. We call it PAGB. The 4 fundamentals that I think are probably the most important thing: posture, alignment, grip, and ball position. And we use that, and then we build off of it. And then we also call it PAGB plus our Ds, which is drills that we do in the mirror where you can kind of see instant feedback. And it's kind of funny listening to Dr. Bob earlier. We were sitting down with our high school kids this afternoon and talking, and we came up with a great quote. It's sometimes the hardest thing in golf to find is the most simple answer. And because we do make things so complicated, and when we hit the ball off to the right, we want to blame the golf swing, when it could be as simple as your club face was open at address, or you were pointed over there and you just didn't realize it. And so we try to make those kids understand, here's the checklist that we're going to start simple, and then we're going to kind of move up the spectrum. And, if it's a golf swing related issue, it's usually going to be one of those 4 fundamentals: posture, alignment, grip, ball position, that are a little out of kilter, and that's what causes the swing flaw.
I love that focus on fundamentals, Jason. I think that's outstanding. Do you still do the rewards program where if the students make a birdie, coach carries all the golf bags back to the clubhouse?
Well, we've we have done that, but we've kind of had to refine that a little bit this year, just because old coach would run out of gas. I'm sure, or I don't know if we'll get into that topic or not, but right now we're doing a lot of push-ups and a lot of burpees.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
When you say we, is that you or is that the student?
That would be both of us, students and coach.
Okay. So is that a part of, a fitness routine that you guys have put together?
No, it's just that's kind of the reward. Like today we had 12 guys and gals in our elite class, and we had about a 20 foot, it's probably a 20-foot downhill sliding putt. And the goal was for everybody to two putt it. Well, if the team doesn't two putt it, there's 12 of them. They've each got to do, 12 push-ups. If they all two putt it, then they get to pick, does coach do 12 push-ups or does coach do 12 burpees?
Oh,
and so that's kind of the risk reward, and we kind of throw that in, and then they're pretty good at monitoring. We don't want them to swing a golf club when the coaches are talking, or vice versa. If the kids are talking and the coaches are swinging the golf club, they call us out on. I mean, they hold our feet to the fire too, and so I've got to do a lot of push-ups this year, but I've also got to dole out quite a few too. So it's kind of fun. So
no doubt. Jason, I want to get a couple of playing lessons as we talk about the fundamentals of golf. I want to get a couple from you for our listeners. And as you mentioned earlier, with you guys taking out so many trees, and it didn't look like Buffalo Dunes had a ton of trees on it to begin with. So now, without those trees, I got to believe that the winds come sweeping down the plane, if you will. So what adjustments and how do you teach your students to handle it when it's a really windy day out there, to kind of flight the ball down a little bit, or kind of take us through what adjustments you teach them to do in order to deal with a really windy day?
Chris, that's a great question. One of the things that the easiest thing that I always tell my students is don't try to manipulate the golf club. If you've got a 110-yard shot into a 20-mile-an-hour headwind, don't try to pull out a sand wedge and de-loft it to 9-iron. Pull out a 9-iron, choke up on it, and make a 3/4 golf swing and hit it into the middle of the green. Know what that shot's going to look like. Quit trying to take a golf club and turn it into something that it's not. That's probably the biggest thing I've learned when you're out here. I mean, the wind blows 18 pretty steadily, and then we get gusts 35 to 40 miles an hour. So you've got to learn how to flight the golf ball. And the easiest way to do that is to take more club with less loft and make that swing. Now we'll choke up on the golf club. We'll play it more in the middle of the stance. You can adjust your posture a little bit, kind of lean left and kind of trap it a little bit more. But at the end of the day, it's, I like making a 3/4 golf swing where the body's a little more in control. There's a little more pivot involved. Arms and hands don't, take over. And by taking that more of that golf club with less loft, I mean, a 9-iron or 8-iron and hitting it that way, you're going to control the golf ball pretty good. And I kind of learned that a back asswards way, I guess, so to speak. And it's really from watching a lot of the girls on the Epson tour. They don't hit it real far, but they really control the golf ball, and they control the golf ball by managing the golf clubs that they choose. They don't try to manipulate. They don't try to hit a sand wedge 150 yards. They're going to pull out something where they can make a smooth golf swing, control the golf swing, and control the golf ball that way.
And Jason, the wind doesn't only impact us on the tee and in the fairway, it also has an impact on and around the green. Is there something that we should be doing if we're having one of those days where you're talking about somewhere between 20 and 40 miles an hour and that wind is gusting, that we should do differently on our putting as well?
Again, obviously widen your stance. You're probably going to play the golf ball a little more in the center. and really, really pay attention to trying to get the golf ball to finish on the high side of the hole. You know, there's days out here where we may have a 3 or 4 foot putt that's going to break a couple inches. And then when the wind starts blowing, it may break complete opposite direction that it's supposed to because the wind's blowing so hard. You've got to pay attention to what's going on around you and your surroundings. And you've got to get yourself in good posture to where you can make solid contact. As long as you're making solid contact with the golf ball, it should go in the hole if you make a pretty good stroke. And if you miss it, it's, playing golf out here in the wind is hard. You just have to keep reminding yourself that golf is hard. That's a good, that's a good Randy Smithism. Golf is hard.
Indeed. So outside of the upcoming Epson Tour tournament that you guys are hosting, what else are you looking forward to in the rest of 2026?
Well, I am. I'm looking forward to getting back down to Houston and hopefully getting some good results down that way personally, to kind of get that big elephant behind me.
You want to talk about what that is for people who are wondering what you mean?
Sure. So I November of 2025, Thanksgiving week, I went to the emergency room. Come to find out I had a brain tumor. I was diagnosed with stage 4 melanoma cancer. Had that removed, had some localized radiation, started immunotherapy, and immunotherapy really kicked my butt. I had 2 rounds of a double, I think it was called Ipi, Opdivo, and Yervo, and I had a really bad reaction. One of the things they don't tell you that if it works really well, one of the side effects is it's probably going to attack an organ. So I ended up with what's called immunotherapy hepatitis. So I had 12 weeks between my second round and third round. I did my third and fourth round. I went back to one back to Opdivo. Had another bad side effect. It attacked my adrenal glands this time. I quit producing cortisol, which is not a good thing. Your body has to produce cortisol. And went to see an endocrinologist, and so I have to take hydrocortisone the rest of my life, 25 milligrams, 15 in the morning, 10 in the afternoon, and really kind of watch, how I take it and what I've got going on. And if I'm going to have a long day teaching or, out in the sun or do an activity that's a little more strenuous, I have to kind of take a little bit more. So it's been quite the journey. My poor wife, there's been times where she has wanted to just I don't know, kick me to the curb because I can be a busload of all kinds of different emotions and stuff, but she's been great. The big thing that's helped probably the most is diet. We changed our diet completely when we found out that I had this. We went to a very high fiber diet, kind of the Mediterranean diet, and it's funny, when we were down at MD Anderson in March for scans and stuff, and one of Dr. Guda's patients' rooms, they were doing a study of high fiber, 50 grams of fiber a day, and what that does for how that helps melanoma cancer and just stuff in general. And then you make all the connections of who's got this, who's got that, and it's been quite a journey. So we're on the tail end of it. I was back there for 9 days in June. I had one tumor left. It was on my right peripheral lung. It was 9.9 centimeters. They radiated that area, and we go back in September for follow-up scans, and hopefully everything is going to be gone. So feel good. Haven't played a whole lot of golf, but fixing to get back on that bandwagon. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it for you. Prayers up, obviously, for you and your family and everything that you have gone through. And I know it's been a struggle, and we've been in touch over the last several months, just checking in to see how you're doing. And obviously, this is the seventh time I've had the privilege of spending some time with you here on the show, and it's gone back several years. So you've got a special place in my heart. And to know that you have been through this struggle, and I'm certainly glad it feels like you're coming out the other side, but I'm sure it has not been um, easy. I'm sure it's been trying. You talk about your wife or whatnot, but I'm sure for both of you, from a physical, psychological, why me, all that sort of stuff that people tend to go through that are going through this thing. I don't know if you're aware, but another great friend of this show, Scott McCarron, out on the Champions Tour, is going through his own battle right now with cancer. And prayers
I
up
did
for
not.
Scott.
I did not.
Yeah, so prayers up, obviously, to both of you for what you're going through and how you're persevering and all of that sort of thing. And I think it's a special kudos to you, Jason, for all the things that you continue to do for our junior golfers. You continue to do for Buffalo Dunes. You're about to do for the girls out on the Epson Tour. All of that you have been through, and yet you're still here giving back is quite a thing for you. So kudos to you, my friend.
It's been a great journey. There's a lot that I've learned that you don't necessarily take it for granted, but you just don't think about it. It's just a different perspective. It's actually it's been good. One of the best conversations I've got to have about perspective and stuff was with Randy Smith. And just, he makes things pretty simple. And my network of guys that have been fantastic have, the Cameron Dones of the world, the Kerry Cosbys of the world, Philip Prude, Simon Buckle, Travis John, all those guys that I've grown up with in the golf business have been, fantastic. I've got a good friend that's he's a director of golf over at Prairie Dunes, John Lanham. Just being able to, call those guys up and say, woe is me, listen to what I have to say, shoulder to cry on and stuff. It's been great. I wouldn't, I would have got through it, but those guys have made it so much easier and kept me pretty humble and put things in perspective and stuff. And then back to my wife Amy, she's been my rock. I've put her through a lot the last 7 months, and she's been fantastic. My mom and dad and my two boys, and it's been a journey, but it's been a good one. Like you said, you've got ups and downs and stuff, but at the end of the day, you battle through it and come out on the other side. And it's been good to talk to people that are going through this too, that, hey, I understand what you're going through. Here's what I've done to make this a little easier. It's been good to share your story and experiences and stuff. So, prayers and everything helps. So
Prayers are up for you, my friend, and the rest of your family. Before I let you go, let our listeners know now, how can they stay up to date with the great things that you're out there doing and also in your journey?
I want to, we've talked about this the last several years, Chris, is we need to get you out here for the Epson Tour. And I don't know if you can sneak away the last week of August, but would love to have you, and I think you'd have a blast.
I'm sure I would.
Play in the Pro-Am and get to meet some of the girls, and it's fantastic. But as far as finding me, you can find me on LinkedIn. I've kind of gotten off most social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it these days. You can just pretty much find me at pgacoach.com or at buffalodunes.org.
Well, Jason, I can't thank you enough for coming back and being a part of the show. I know it's, as you mentioned, it's not been easy for you, and the fact that you continue, like I say, to give back, and not just to Buffalo Dunes, but to the community, to the young girls out on the Epson Tour, and then for coming back and being a part of the show, like I say, for a seventh time with what you've been dealing with is remarkable. So I can't thank you enough for doing it. I hope we get the privilege of having you back on the show again before too long.
Absolutely, Chris. It's always a pleasure, and we appreciate everything you do for the game, and you're fantastic for golf. And I look forward for the next time you have me back on.
Jason, all the best to you, Amy, and the rest of the family. We'll catch up a lot sooner this time around.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you.
Same here. Take care, Jason.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
That is the great Jason Hayes, folks, and the spelling of his last name is Hase. So he mentioned LinkedIn. Wherever you can find Jason, PGAcoach.com. I encourage you to go out there and follow him. Look, this is a guy who has been instrumental in this show. And then when you look at all of the great things that he has done there at Buffalo Dunes and for the Garden City, Kansas community, he mentioned it's a smaller community, 40,000-ish people, and the way that he has given back through his junior golf program that he has started up and led over the last several years. And then for his own personal battle, as he mentioned, since November. Look, Jason is one of the great guys in our game. He is one of the great people that we have as a community leader, if you will, out there. And for him to go through the struggles that he has, and like I say, I'm so happy that it feels like that he is coming out on the other side. But I ask you for your prayers for Jason and his family, that the cancer continues to get smaller and smaller, and hopefully this last bit that they radiated not that long ago, that gets rid of the cancer in his body, and he can go back to leading the fun life that he has had, and that his family can go back to doing the things that they want to do and that sort of thing, and not have to think about cancer, as we've all been touched by cancer in some way, shape, or form. You know, the dark cloud, if you will, that puts over an entire family's lives, and the upsetting of the lives, and then the concern and all of the things that come with that. And thank God for the doctors out at MD Anderson. He talked about going down to Houston. He's being treated at MD Anderson. So thank God to Dr. Gouda and the people that he is working with down there that have done a phenomenal job of getting him to this point. And like I say, hopefully to a cancer-free life going forward. You know about the other people that have come on this show. I mentioned Scott McCarron, who joined us a couple of months ago, and Scott talked about the struggle that he is going through his diagnosis. There have been several others that have come on this show that have dealt with it as well. So our hearts go out to them, our prayers go out to them, and I hope that you will keep Jason and his family in your prayers as well. So hopefully, like I say, we get the opportunity to catch up with Jason a little bit longer, a little bit down the line, but not too far. All right, my friends, it is time for me to put a bow on this episode of Next on the Tee. My sincere thanks go out again to Keith Hirshland, Dr. Bob Winters, and Jason Hayes for joining me. Scheduled to join me next time are our good friend Frank Darby, who was just, oh, by the way, honored with the Deacon Palmer Award for his outstanding character, leadership, and lifelong commitment to serving others through the game of golf. He'll be back with us next week. Of course, Tom Patry will be here just like he is every other week. I'm sure TP is going to want to weigh in on Frank's award as well. Then two great friends, college roommates and teammates at the University of Georgia, plus being great players out on the PGA Tour, Tim Simpson and Chip Beck will be here as well. So you're definitely not going to want to miss that episode. I want to thank our friends again, as always, over at Trib Live for being such wonderful partners and for hosting this show on their site. For the latest news from Western Pennsylvania and beyond, including your favorite sports, go to triblive.com. You can find the show by then clicking on the Sports Section tab. Right there on the homepage of the Sports Section, you're going to find the most recent episode. Or you can type in podcast.triblive.com and then click on Next on the Tee. Many of the most recent episodes from this season are available for you there as well. But as you guys know, the show is available pretty much anywhere you get your podcast content. We're out there on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Good Pods, golfnewsnet.com. Pretty much anywhere you get your podcast content, you're going to find the show on that site as well. I also want to invite you to subscribe to my new page out there on Substack. I've got a lot of great articles available for you there. You can also listen to the show. It's available as a podcast on Substack as well. And keep your eyes out for the short clips. I got some shorts that I put together on the Next on the Tee Legends Vault. So some 1 to 5 minute episodes, little cutouts from some of the great episodes we've had in that Legends Vault are available for you and out there on all of those same sites as well. But like I say each and every week before I sign off, I want to send out my biggest thanks to each and every one of you for being the greatest supporters in the history of podcasts, bar none. A huge dose of vitamin G goes out to each and every one of you. Until next time, hit 'em straight, my friends.
Thanks for joining Chris again this week on Next on the Tee. We hope you enjoyed the conversations as much as we did. Please share the show with your golf buddies and be sure to follow it on TribLive or your favorite podcast app so you never miss an episode. Thanks for pressing play and being part of the journey. We'll see you next week, right here, where the best minds in golf share their stories.